Chers auditeurs,
Dear listeners,
bonjour.
welcome to Comme d'Archi Podcast Season 5.
Saison 5, dans le monde fascinant des architectes.
And in the architectural projects.
Je suis Anne-Charlotte Deponte, passionnée d'architecture et docteur des universités en histoire de l'archi.
I am one of the spokespersons of Anne-Charlotte, who is a PhD in architecture history.
Merci
Thank you
d'être avec moi aujourd'hui.
to be with us today.
Et
And
maintenant,
now,
lundi en français, place au talent.
and Wednesday, let's talk projects. In English, of course.
Bienvenue dans Comme d'Archi.
Dear listeners, hello. This is Esther on behalf of Anne-Charlotte. It's a pleasure to welcome you back today for another spot issue of Season 5 with a first look at the latest architectural developments in the field of refurbishment. Focusing on a project in the Netherlands, the Schönenkwartier Museum in Waalwijk, completed in 2022. Why this topic? People in the trade know it by heart. So do the enlightened laymen. Rehabilitation must be stepped up. We've been talking about it for some time now, haven't we? Rather than digging even deeper into resources, and yes, to minimize the carbon footprint, rehabilitation would be a very good solution. Unfortunately, this doesn't stop the bulldozer from continuing its tabula rasa. Cheap constructions are tenacious. Let's start with an article I encourage you to read. Pourquoi réhabiliter et non pas démolir by Sipano, published in the July 25, 2023 issue of Batiweb, a reporting on the experience of architect Adrien Robin. Adrien Robin is the founder, with Alix Homme, of the Parisian agency RH+ Architecture. Adrien Robin prefers to use the term transformation rather than rehabilitation. The word rehabilitation is rather limiting. At the agency, we prefer to use the term transformation, which denotes a more ambitious operation, or eco-renovation, which goes beyond simple rehabilitation, says the architect, for whom this type of intervention is essential. In fact, the agency has a number of projects along these lines, both completed and forthcoming. Adrien Robin continues in the same vein. Construction accounts for 45%, including public works and building, of the energy consumed in France, which is an edifying figure. What's more, heating accounts for 60% of the energy spent per household. If we could reduce these quantities through eco-renovation, we would have accomplished a colossal task, he says. End of quote. Architectural renovation projects are now receiving support from institutions, particularly local authorities, who also recognize the importance of preserving cultural heritage and the need to create quality living spaces for citizens. Plus, ecological virtues. For example, the Prieur-Yvelines Urban Renewal Programme is currently investing nearly 60 million euros to support the major transformation of 3 Yvelines neighborhoods that receive no government support, in Poissy, Elancourt, and Saint-Cyr-l'École. These initiatives are encouraged by architects, of course, but also by specialist companies who bring their expertise to transforming existing buildings into contemporary, functional spaces. In short, architectural rehabilitation transformation remains a major challenge on a global scale. Projects, particularly in France, aim to preserve the country's architectural heritage while improving citizens' quality of life. From the emblematic renovation of Paris's Notre Dame Cathedral to the regeneration of the city's neighborhoods, these initiatives testify to France's commitment to preserving its cultural heritage and promoting sustainable urban development, despite the outrageous desire to destroy it. But let's be positive, resolutely so. And it's not just France. Let's take a look at a relatively recent project outside France, the Waalwijk factory in the Netherlands, originally designed by architect Alexander Kroppeler. Under the guidance of the Civic agency, This factory has been transformed into a museum. The Civic agency played with the rationality of the historic architecture to create a unique museum space. The museum showcases the region's industrial history and houses exhibitions on a variety of themes. The aim is to preserve the industrial heritage while creating a dynamic cultural space. The Civic agency worked closely with heritage conservation experts to preserve the architectural integrity of the factory while adapting the space to the requirements of the modern museum. The project has been praised for its ability to transform an industrial building into an attractive cultural venue. A new, innovative knowledge center for shoe design, production, and fashion, located in the heart of the Dutch city of leather and footwear, it is housed in a complex of listed buildings dating back to the 1930s. The original building was designed by the architect Alexander Kroppeler. Transformed and enlarged, the complex now houses a collection of no fewer than 12,000 objects, several permanent exhibitions, a knowledge center with research library, workshop space and auditorium, a museum cafe, and design and prototyping laboratories. The planning and design of the building and its interior seem to map out an inspiring new future for industry, city, and community anchored in inherited values. The Raduis complex was originally one of Alexander Kroppeler's most important works. It was built in several phases in the 1930s, then extended in the 1980s before its recent transformation. This time, the buildings have been adapted, renovated, and extended to include a new garden with a light facade overlooking the square, in keeping with the logic of the ensemble. Large formed bricks and diagonal, coarsely joined masonry built on existing forms and details. At the same time, the Dutch agency Civic has certainly added subversive design details with the aim of nuancing Alexander Kroppeler's overly restrictive and rigid architectural views, such as the fully rounded brick openings and the staggered construction rhythm. In this way, the addition is not a fashionable or contradictory icon, but a new chapter in the building's layered history, stresses the agency. Located right in the heart of the historic city center on the Raduis Plain Square, the Shoe Museum adjoins the Town Hall and City Hall built in the last century, facilities whose activity has declined over the years. The creation of the museum in this location is destined to give a new impetus to the town center, thanks in particular to the design choices made. Indeed, the general functions of the museum, such as the cafe with its open-plan laboratories and the former kiosk, are directly visible from the square and are also accessible to the public, even for those who do not visit the exhibitions. The entrance area is open, and in the center of the building, a welcoming interior street with a herringbone pattern of large bricks connects the various elements. The building has been designed so that everyone can determine their own path and pace. Spectacular new 5-meter round openings, cut into the old, bare facade of the 1980s office wing, provide a glimpse of the exhibits. Cleverly placed staircases and itineraries allow visitors to take shortcuts and pass only the highlights, or to walk through the entire tour. The materials used are rather ordinary, such as brick, steel, concrete, and wood. They amplify the spirit of the collection and the historic building, forming a collective work of art. At the same time, it ensures that even people who don't visit museums every week feel familiar and welcome here. According to its designers, the Shoe Museum offers designers a space to experiment with new circular and artisanal techniques. The building and interior itself are a good example of this. For example, by preserving and rigorously cutting out the office wing, deemed stuffy, in favor of the museum rooms. In addition, The entrance's central multifunctional counter is made of limestone hemp, stamped on site, and the ceilings are made of synthetic felt made from recycled bottles. Finally, a ceramic tile wall was developed in the entrance area in collaboration with the Ladida agency. This wall combines ceramic craftsmanship with innovation and sustainability. Thanks to the special shape of the 3D printed molds, the use of waste from other glazing processes, and production by local professionals who are far removed from the job market. Ideas don't only come from France. That said, we'll be sure to come back to the theme of transformation in the light of relevant French examples. Dear listeners, thank you for tuning in. Let's meet again next week for a new interview. Until then, take care. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening. Thanks to Julien Rebourg, sound engineer, who is collaborating with us today. Don't forget to tune in to our previews on Instagram at Comme d'Archi Podcast. If you enjoy this podcast, don't hesitate to promote it by giving it 5 stars and a little comment on Apple Podcast or on your favorite podcast platform. And above all, subscribe to listen to all of our episodes for free. See you soon, and until then, take care of yourself.